Roads, they're lifelines of modern infrastructure, but some come with extraordinary price tags due to their scale or location. From highways spanning mountain ranges to underwater tunnels connecting nations, these are the 15 most expensive roads ever built. Starting with number 15, the Interstate H3 in Hawaii, in the USA. Interstate H3, known locally as the John A. Burns Freeway, has become one of the most expensive and controversial highways in Hawaii and the US. The 15-mile or 24-kilometer-long interstate connects the towns of Halawa on Oahu's west side, with Kaneohe on the east side, crossing the Kūlau mountain range on the way. Officially classified as an auxiliary interstate, H3 is part of the Dwight D. Eisenhower National System of Interstate and Defense Highways, and it was named in honor of John A. Burns. Construction on it began in the mid-1960s, but it took more than 3 decades and $1.3 billion to complete. The highway was completed in 1997, and it is one of the most expensive roads in the U.S. in terms of cost per mile. This high cost is partly due to the challenging landscape it had to overcome. One of the biggest elements of the H3 is the 5,100-foot or 1,500-meter Tetsuo Harano Tunnel, which cuts through the Kūlau Mountains and has become a vital route between the island's 2 main military installations, Pearl Harbor Naval Base and Marine Corps Base Hawaii in Kaneohe. The highway faced major opposition over concerns for environmental and cultural preservation, as it was meant to pass through the culturally sacred Halawa Valley. Native Hawaiian groups, environmentalists, and preservationists protested against this route, arguing it would disrupt the sacred burial sites, destroy valuable native forests, and threaten the island's delicate ecosystems. These concerns led to a number of legal challenges which delayed construction and increased its cost. To overcome some of those impacts, the designers used various innovative engineering solutions, such as building elevated viaducts over sensitive areas and tunneling through mountains to reduce the highway's footprint. Despite those efforts, though, controversy over H3 has continued, with critics arguing that the construction violated Hawaiian cultural practices. Now completed, though, Interstate H3 has become known as one of the most picturesque highways of all, offering a scenic drive with views of valleys, waterfalls, and the ocean. Number 14, Ionia-Odos Motorway in Greece, $1.6 billion. The Ionia-Odos Motorway, which is also known as the A5, is a major highway in Greece that runs through the western part of the mainland, connecting the city of Ioannina to the north to Antirio to the south, near the Rio Antirio Bridge. Officially completed in 2017, the 122-mile or 196-kilometer motorway is part of Greece's national effort to modernize its road infrastructure. The A5 reduces travel times and improves accessibility across the mountainous and once difficult-to-travel terrain of western Greece, and has majorly helped with economic growth and tourism. It is a beautiful drive as the motorway slices through a region of Greece known for its beauty, with views of mountains, valleys, and the Ionian Sea. Its route intersects with some of Greece's most important natural and cultural landmarks, passing close to the historic site of Dodona, which is one of the country's oldest shrines, and traveling along the fringes of the Achelous River, which is Greece's second longest river. Its construction was, though, a complex and expensive one, with total costs reaching around $1.6 billion. Much of the difficulty came from the challenging terrain. Over 30 bridges and 24 tunnels were built to ensure the route was safe and navigable. The entire motorway was designed to withstand any seismic events, which was vital in this earthquake-prone area of Greece, but of course it added a huge cost to the project. Before the A5 was completed, the regions of western Greece were mainly served by narrow, winding roads that could be pretty dangerous, especially during the winter. These roads limited access and were a barrier to development. Now the Ionia-Odos has transformed travel in the region, cutting travel times and opening up to improved development opportunities. Number 13, the Durango-Mazatlan Highway in Mexico, $2.2 billion. The Durango to Mazatlan Highway, which is known as Federal Highway 40D, is a major toll road in Mexico that was one of the most complicated infrastructure projects to have ever been taken on in Latin America. With a length of about 143 miles or 230 kilometers, the highway connects the inland city of Durango in the Mexican state of Durango with the coastal city of Mazatlan in Sinaloa. Completed in 2013, the highway reduced travel time between the two cities from over 6 hours to around 3 hours, which had a major impact on logistics, tourism, and the economic fortunes of the region. This came at a price, though, and required a large number of special elements to all make it possible. Work on the road took more than 10 years and eventually cost more than $2 billion. The highway features over 60 tunnels and 115 bridges, including the Baluarte Bridge, which has become a symbol of the route's complexity. at 3,600 feet or 1,100 meters long and standing over 1,300 feet above the water. This bridge became the highest cable-stayed bridge in the world when it was finished, and it's still one of the highest bridges in North America. It, too, was a controversial road and came with a number of challenges. The Sierra Madre Occidental's unpredictable geology, regular landslides, and seismic activity meant that builders had to endure difficult conditions. There were environmental concerns, too, as the highway cut through several sensitive ecosystems that are home to a wide range of plant and animal life, some of which are unique to the region. Even with measures being taken to reduce its environmental impact, including building wildlife crossings and reforestation efforts, there was no avoiding the fact that the highway has affected biodiversity in some places. But for travelers, this highway is a beautiful and exciting drive through Mexico's highlands. Before the highway, the Devil's Backbone Road, or Federal Highway 40, was the only option, which was famous for its hairpin turns, narrow passes, and precarious cliffs. While the old road still attracts more adventurous drivers, the new highway has provided a much safer, faster, and more modern route. Number 12. The Tehran-Shomal Freeway in Iran, $2.2 billion. The Tehran to Shomal Freeway, which is officially known as the Tehran North Freeway, is one of the most important road projects in the country that connects the capital city of Tehran with the northern province of Mazandaran along the Caspian Sea. Covering a distance of about 75 miles or 121 kilometers, it's been in planning and development stages since the 1970s, and the project remains just partly completed, with a number of sections operational and others still under construction. When fully complete, though, it will reduce travel times between Tehran and the northern regions from several hours to just over an hour, creating a faster route through some of Iran's most challenging landscape. In all, the Tehran to Shomal Freeway includes over 150 bridges and at least 25 tunnels, the most impressive of which is the 3-mile or 4.9-kilometer-long Alborz Tunnel, which is one of the longest in the Middle East. The project had to make use of some advanced techniques with the assistance from both Iranian and international firms to handle the complex design and ensure safety across its entirety, which is why the final cost is expected to be in the region of $2.2 billion. One of the big successes of the freeway has been addressing the transportation needs between Tehran and the Caspian region, which is now one of the most popular vacation destinations in Iran. The heavy traffic here often caused severe delays on the winding, often dangerous roads, so the freeway's smoother, wider lanes and shorter travel time provide a much safer alternative. As is always the case with large infrastructure projects, there have been concerns about the way the freeway cuts through sensitive ecosystems, including protected forested areas, both because of the direct impact on wildlife habitats and the potential for increased pollution and deforestation. The project's also encountered a number of delays, with final completion dates continually being pushed back. Number 11. The Ruta del Sol Highway in Colombia, $2.7 billion. The Ruta del Sol, or the Route of the Sun Highway, is a major transportation project in Colombia between the capital city of Bogotá to the Caribbean coast, with the aim of improving connectivity and reducing travel times. The highway covers a distance of around 665 miles or just over 1,000 kilometers and passes through some of the country's most important economic and cultural centers. The development of Ruta del Sol came from the need for an efficient and safe road connecting Bogotá with Colombia's coastal ports, which are crucial for international trade. Previously, the only routes linking these areas were winding, outdated, and often congested, especially with the growth of Colombia's economy, which would increase demand for tourism in recent decades. The highway's development, which was first put forward in the late 20th century, was also meant to boost economic opportunities in the region. The project was divided into 3 major sections, with each focusing on specific geographic challenges. These included mountainous terrain, river crossings, and zones prone to landslides. The route was meant to improve safety by providing wider, straighter lanes with modern engineering techniques, which would help reduce accidents. The new highway also shortens the journey between Bogotá and the coast from over 20 hours to around 10 hours, which is pretty good. It also is designed to boost tourism by making it easier for travelers to access Colombia's northern beaches and historic sites. Number 10. Marina Coastal Expressway in Singapore, $3.15 billion. The MCE, or the Marina Coastal Expressway, was a massive addition to Singapore's advanced infrastructure, becoming an essential link between the country's east and west regions. Officially opened on December 29, 2013, the MCE is 3.1 miles or 5 kilometers long and is Singapore's first major underground expressway. Designed to accommodate the increasing volume of traffic without taking up much valuable urban space, it connects important economic and residential areas. Probably most importantly, it links the central business district with Singapore's port and industrial zones, allowing for simpler and faster travel across the island. Nearly 2.5 miles or 3.6 kilometers of the expressway run underwater and underground, and the need to tunnel under the seabed of Marina Bay, which involved cutting-edge engineering to deal with the area's challenging soil conditions and water pressures, is what made it such an expensive project. Construction of the MCE took nearly 5 years, with costs reaching around $3.1 billion, making it one of their most expensive infrastructure projects. This expressway has a total of 5 lanes in each direction, which can handle huge traffic volumes that use it, and the route also required a major reclamation work along Marina Bay. This included the construction of a large ventilation building to manage their air quality in the tunnels. It integrates with Singapore's extensive road network, reducing congestion on the CBD and diverting heavy traffic away from city streets. The MCE's design didn't just focus on practicality either, as its entrance and exit points were landscaped to blend in with the city's greenery, meaning it's not just another concrete structure on the island. Since opening, it has been seen as successful, although there were a few issues at first because of problems with traffic flow and bottlenecks. Those have now been resolved, though, as drivers have adapted to the new route and road planning agencies installed additional signage. Today, the Marina Coastal Expressway is a crucial connecting route for the entire country and shows how infrastructure can be built to support environmental and urban planning needs. Number 9. Qinghai-Tibet Highway in China, $4.2 billion. The Qinghai to Tibet Highway, which is officially called the China National Highway 109, is one of the world's highest and most challenging roads, stretching a distance of over 1,200 miles or 1,900 kilometers from the Qinghai province to Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. Completed in 1954 at the equivalent cost of $4.2 billion, the highway crossed some of the most remote landscape on Earth, including the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau, which has an average elevation of over 13,000 feet or 4,000 meters, and it's known as the roof of the world. Building it was a huge engineering challenge because of the extreme conditions here on the Tibetan Plateau. At these high altitudes, oxygen levels are much lower than at sea level, which can lead to altitude sickness and health risks for construction workers. As well as the thin air, the region experiences intense ultraviolet radiation, cold temperatures, and unpredictable weather, including high winds and heavy snowfall. Amazingly, Chinese engineers and workers managed to complete the road in just 2 years, and since then the highway's been continuously upgraded. It is a great road to drive along, if not a challenging one, with huge changes in altitude, rapidly shifting weather and harsh landscapes, with incredible views of snowy mountains, large grasslands, and lakes like the famous Qinghai Lake. The route passes through features like the Tanggula Mountain Pass, which at 17,162 feet, or 5,200 meters above sea level, is one of the highest points in the world that's accessible by vehicle. This highway is now a crucial artery that allows for the transport of goods like fuel, food, and construction materials to Tibet, and enabling trade with other parts of China, and it's also led to a tourism boom in the region. It has been controversial too, however, mainly because of how it's led to further development of Tibet, which has had a major impact on the environment and local communities. The increased traffic and number of people here have put pressure on the ecosystem on the Tibetan Plateau, with concerns over pollution, deforestation, and the displacement of traditional Tibetan people. Number 8. The Montfayette Expressway in the United States, $5.4 billion. The Montfayette Expressway, which is known as Pennsylvania Route 43, is a route through southwestern Pennsylvania that was designed to improve transportation, economic development, and accessibility in a historically industrial region. At a length of around 66 miles or 106 kilometers, it's a key corridor that connects the suburbs of Pittsburgh with rural communities along the Monongahela River and eventually links up with major highways in West Virginia. Originally suggested in the 1970s, it's part of a larger idea to revitalize the Monongahela Valley, which is a region that's faced economic difficulties. With a budget of $5.4 billion, the highway isn't yet completed, but it has developed several segments, so large sections are already usable. This expressway is particularly useful for heavy freight traffic, as it offers a safer, faster, and more direct route for commercial vehicles traveling between Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and the surrounding areas. And it definitely improves regional connectivity, making it far easier for residents to commute to Pittsburgh for work, education, and healthcare. Funded mainly by the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission, the project has had a number of budgetary issues and delays. Its cost has meant that the highway was constructed in phases, with sections open to traffic as funding became available. There have then been questions about whether the highway's economic benefits can justify the expense, particularly given the continuing fall in the number of people living in the Mon Valley. There's no doubt, though, that sections of the Montfayette Expressway that have opened have had a transformative effect on the region's transportation network. For residents and businesses, it's connected communities that were once isolated and underserved, and with new industries, particularly in manufacturing and logistics, this highway has helped with the local economic development, although the long-term benefits are yet to be fully realized. Moving on to number 7, Otoyol 5 in Turkey, $7 billion. Otoyol 5 is one of Turkey's biggest infrastructure projects ever, connecting Istanbul, Turkey's largest city, with Izmir, which is a port scene on the Aegean coast. Officially completed in 2019, this 265-mile or 420-kilometer highway significantly reduces your travel time. And one of the most important parts of it is the Osman Gazi Bridge, which crosses the Gulf of Imsit near Gebze, which is the 4th longest suspension bridge in the world. The bridge alone is around 1.7 miles or about 2.5 kilometers long, and it has reduced the travel times across the Gulf from 2 hours by ferry or road detour to just a few minutes. Otoyol 5 is part of a wider plan to improve infrastructure across the country, and as a result to position Turkey as a logistical and economic hub that links Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. As well as providing a connection across continents, it's also vastly improved the transport of goods between the industrial heartland around Istanbul and Turkey's agricultural and manufacturing centers. The project has been tricky, though. With an estimated cost of over $7 billion, it was partly funded through a public-private partnership, whereby the Turkish government worked with a consortium of private companies. This funding model meant that the road was being built relatively quickly, but has since been criticized because of the high toll fees that make the route less accessible to average citizens. There's no doubt, though, that it's already been a massive boost to the country's economy, and with further development and treaties with neighboring countries in the pipeline, it could become one of the most important trade routes in the world. Number 6, the Chuo Expressway in Japan, $8 billion. The Chuo Expressway is one of Japan's main arterial highways, connecting Tokyo with Nagoya, Japan's 3rd largest city, and passing through the Chubu region. Covering a distance of around 227 miles or 360 kilometers. It's a vital link across central Japan, offering a more direct route through mountainous regions compared to the older Tomei Expressway, which follows the coast. Completed in the 1970s, it is now an essential route for trade, and it's also a popular highway for tourists. Costing around $8 billion to complete, the route through the mountainous regions and vast landscapes was a tricky one to complete. The highway winds through the valleys and high-altitude passes, and has a number of tunnels and bridges to cross the Japanese Alps. Some of the most extensive tunnel systems in Japan, like the 3-mile-long Hiyoshi Tunnel, were built to allow the expressway to provide a direct route, but as well as adding to the cost, these required new construction techniques. The expressway provides access to the Yamanashi Prefecture, which is known for its wineries and the hot springs of Yamanashi's onsen towns. The route's closeness to the Japanese Alps also allows you to reach popular destinations like Nagano and Matsumoto, and during seasonal peaks, especially in autumn, the expressway sees an increase in traffic. The expressway plays a vital role in supporting the economy in the Chubu region, allowing for the transportation of goods between central Japan's agricultural and manufacturing zones. And it connects with other highways including the Keno Expressway and the Nagano Expressway, giving quicker access to the rest of the country. Like much of Japan's infrastructure, though, the Chuo Expressway is often congested and experiences issues because of the mountainous routes. Snow and landslides are common, especially in the winter months, and require regular maintenance and monitoring to ensure the road is safe. Number 5. Ignatia Odos in Greece, $8.4 billion. The Ignatia Odos, which is officially called the A2 motorway, is one of Greece's most important highways. Named after the ancient Roman Via Ignatia, which once linked Byzantium to the Adriatic coast, the modern Ignatia Odos is a major arterial route across northern Greece. With a length of around 416 miles, it cuts across vast landscapes including mountains, rivers, and plains, linking cities such as Thessaloniki and Komotini, as well as providing access to several important destinations. The construction was a huge challenge that took 2 decades to complete at a cost of more than $8.4 billion. Completed in the early 2000s, this project transformed northern Greece's infrastructure and massively improved the region's connections. The highway crosses some of Greece's most beautiful landscapes, including the Pindus Mountains, so needed more than 70 tunnels and 1,600 bridges. Highlights include the 3-mile-long Metsovo Tunnel, which allows you to pass through the middle of the Pindus Mountains, and the Komsatos Bridge, which is one of the longest and highest bridges on the route. It links directly to highways that go into Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Turkey, providing a gateway for goods traveling between Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. As a result, the highway has become an essential corridor for freight transport, reducing travel times across northern Greece and enabling faster trade. As well as the clear direct economic benefits, the route has boosted tourism too. It provided direct access to Greece's northern and western regions, which are really beautiful and historically important. Tourists can now reach places like the UNESCO-listed Meteora Rock Monastery and the ancient city of Philippi, and the beaches of the Ionian coast much easier than before. Number 4. Tokyo Bay Aqua Line in Japan, $11.2 billion. Officially called the Trans-Tokyo Bay Highway, this is a road that crosses Tokyo Bay, connecting the city of Kawasaki in the Kanagawa Prefecture to Kisarazu in Chiba Prefecture. This route, which was completed in 1997, is a hybrid of a bridge and a tunnel that stretches over 9 miles or about 15.1 kilometers across the bay, reducing the travel distance around the region by more than half and cutting travel time from 90 minutes to around 15. The Tokyo Bay Aqua Line begins as a bridge from Kisarazu and then transitions into an undersea tunnel midway to Kawasaki, making it one of the world's longest underwater tunnels at 6 miles. By combining both bridge and tunnel elements, engineers were able to maintain waterway access while still provide a direct connection across the bay. The tunnel section had to be designed to be earthquake resistant, of course, as Tokyo Bay is a seismically active region, with a design that prioritizes safety and strength. At the point where the bridge meets the tunnel, the Aqua Line has an artificial island known as Umihotaru, which translates to mean sea firefly. Umihotaru is a rest area and a tourist attraction in itself, with stunning views of the Tokyo Bay, the Tokyo skyline, and on clear days, Mount Fuji. The Aqua Line has brought significant benefits by improving connectivity between Chiba and Kanagawa, which are 2 major industrial areas in Tokyo. By reducing the distance for freight and passenger vehicles, it's improved logistics and has helped growth industries like manufacturing and distribution. The Aqua Line did come in at a huge cost though. The project took more than 30 years to plan and complete, with a final price of around $11 billion at the time, making it one of the country's most expensive projects. High toll fees when it opened didn't go down well with potential users at first, although toll reductions in recent years have made it more accessible to daily commuters and have led to significantly increased traffic. Number 3. Karachi-Lahore Highway in Pakistan, $11.5 billion. The Karachi to Lahore Highway, which is also referred to as the M9 and M5, is one of the longest and most important roads in Pakistan. With a length of over 746 miles or 1,200 kilometers, it's a major part of their national trade corridor in Pakistan, and it's vital to economic growth. It's split into 2 main sections, with the M9 motorway connecting Karachi and Hyderabad and the M5 motorway connecting the Multan to Sukur, eventually linking with the rest of the network to Lahore. The M9 motorway, which was originally built as a dual-lane highway, has recently been upgraded to a 6-lane motorway. The M5 motorway section is a much newer addition that was completed in 2019. Where the journey from Karachi to Lahore once nearly took 20 hours, it now takes around 14 on the motorway. In total, the route is thought to have cost as much as $11.5 billion to complete, but the benefits that it's brought has been more than worth that investment. By improving the road connection to Lahore, which is the country's industrial center, goods can now move more quickly and at a lower cost. This route is essential for transporting agricultural products, textiles, machinery, and other goods between Sindh and Punjab, supporting major sectors of their economy. The older highways in Pakistan were known for high accident rates because of their narrow lanes, poor visibility, and heavy congestion, and the new motorway infrastructure has completely changed that, making travel by road much faster, more reliable, and safer. Noise pollution, though, has become a problem with this highway, especially as now it's become such a popular route. So the landscape around the road noticeably changed since it opened. This, though, is generally seen as necessary for the economic benefits, and because of the success of this upgrade, there are now several other routes in the planning stage that will aim to do something similar for other regions in the country. Number 2. The new coastal road, Reunion Island, $2.5 billion. The new coastal road on Reunion Island is one of the most difficult and costly infrastructure projects in the Indian Ocean. The island itself is around 420 miles to the east of Madagascar, and it's an overseas department of France. This new development on the island is designed to replace the old coastal route that ran between the capitals Saint-Denis and La Possession, and is a modern roadway with an estimated cost of $2.5 billion for a length of 7.5 miles. Reunion Island's original coastal route was well known for its hazards, mainly because it was carved along cliffs that would often experience landslides and rockfalls. The road was, as a result, frequently closed, especially during the cyclone season, which limited movement around the island. With the population and economic activity on the island increasing, Reunion's government and the French administration decided that a safer, more modern route was needed. A large part of the new road was built as an elevated viaduct over the sea, about 3.4 miles or 5.5 kilometers in length, and supported by massive concrete pillars. This design was chosen to reduce interference with the island's volcanic cliffs to avoid building on the landscape. It was really difficult to build, as engineers had to deal with strong currents, high waves, and deep seabeds to ensure the pillars would be stable. Despite preserving ecosystems on land, there has been concerns about how this project will impact marine biodiversity. To address this, environmental studies were conducted and efforts were made to reduce the impact on those systems. With so much of the materials for the road needing to be shipped in, this has been a long project that began in late 2013 and still isn't fully finished. The road will handle thousands of vehicles each day, including heavy freight transport, which is essential for supplying the island. And this improved route will also encourage some tourism, which is a large part of Reunion's economy, by offering a safer and more reliable access to the island's northern regions. Number 1. The Big Dig, Boston, Massachusetts, $24 billion. The Central Artery Tunnel Project, more commonly known as the Big Dig, was one of the biggest urban infrastructure projects in U.S. history and was designed to help reduce traffic congestion in Boston, Massachusetts. Starting in 1991 and completed in 2007, it was a massive undertaking to reroute the city's Central Highway, Interstate 93, through a 3.5-mile or 5.6-kilometer tunnel beneath downtown Boston. The project also included constructing the Leonard P. Zakim Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge, the Ted Williams Tunnel under Boston Harbor, and extensive park systems above these new roadways. Initially estimated at $2.8 billion, the final cost of the Big Dig multiplied to more than $24 billion, making it the world's most expensive highway project. By the mid-20th century, Boston was facing major issues with its street layout and crowded urban environment, which caused serious traffic problems. The original elevated Central Artery, which was built in the 50s, cut down through Boston and soon became obsolete as traffic volumes increased. By the 1980s, the 6-lane road was clogged up with over 200,000 vehicles each day. The Big Dig was suggested as a solution to those issues with the aim of modernizing their transportation infrastructure, reducing congestion, and reclaiming valuable downtown space. By far the most challenging part of this project was the tunnel beneath downtown Boston. Engineers faced significant obstacles as they had to dig below a city with buildings, historic sites, and existing infrastructure. A cut-and-cover method was used, which meant that large sections of the ground were excavated and then covered once the tunnel was completed, so as to reduce the impact on the city above. Because of Boston's location near the water, work required clever water sealing techniques to prevent flooding, such as the installation of slurry walls made of reinforced concrete to hold back the groundwater. Of course, people don't see the tunnel unless they're driving through it, and the part of the project that's the most impressive to look at is the Zakim Bridge, which is the cable-stayed bridge that crosses the Charles River and connects downtown Boston with northern suburbs. This project has faced considerable cost overruns, legal disputes, and technical failures, which led to delays, growing public frustration, and increased overall costs. A lot of this has been put down to poor planning and management, along with lack of oversight. Severe structural and safety issues only emerged after construction, such as in 2006 when a ceiling panel in one of the tunnels collapsed. It is now, though, fully complete, and even with the problems, it's gone on to be a great success. It achieved its goals of reducing traffic congestion and creating new public spaces in Boston, and removed the elevated highway that had divided the city. It has, however, become a lesson in the importance of urban planning. It showed how complex and expensive large-scale urban engineering projects are, especially when they aren't run particularly well, but also how projects like these are vital for continuing development of economies and transport infrastructure across the world. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you on the road. Thank you to our channel members.